Okay, guys, thanks for being patient. Sorry, the Facebook Live, I must be having some serious connection issues with my internet. So I'm just gonna, it just kept cutting in and out, and then I couldn't get it back on. So I'm just gonna record what I was gonna train you guys on and then just post it and I'll put that in the group. All right. So thanks for being patient. If you were watching the live, I apologize about that. And I'm just going to start from the beginning just because I don't really know how much of it you could actually see. Okay. So I wanted to talk about this concept of this concept that I don't feel like is talked about enough, like really to like break it down in micro detail, right? And so I'm not sure if you heard this before. So, but in nursing, the Q word, I'm a nurse, right, as well. In nursing, the Q word is quiet, right? When you tell a nurse, I hope you have a quiet night, she's probably going to kill you. And if you're a nurse, you know what I'm talking about, right? It always ends up being the opposite, right? It's like full moon status, right? So we don't ever say that Q word. But in business, the Q word is quitting. And we don't talk about quitting enough. We don't break it down to all of the different ways that we quit. And then the consequences of those quittings. Now, we as human beings, we're wildly unconscious and possibly in denial about how much we actually quit. And so a time like a time that we talk about quitting, right? This is like what everybody usually talks about when you think of quitting, right? The biggest thing would be that humans were notoriously bad at this is around New Year's, right? New Year's Eve, making your New Year's goals, right? But the truth is that we're human beings, right? We're creating goals, and your clients are creating goals, your customers are creating goals, and we do the same thing in our business. We do this when we're in mentorship programs or some kind of course, right? So the same thing happens to us, the same reasons, the same things that happens to our clients happens to us. And it's the same thing that happens in society when we have our New Year's resolutions and we quit. Okay. We do the same thing in our businesses. And why does this happen? Because we're not recognizing them as quits. We're not recognizing it as quitting, right? I want you guys to stop and think for a moment about what I bring up this topic of quitting, like what it is, right? What does it feel like? Like, what is it bringing up for you? What do you notice happening for yourself? Do you feel like you're quitting, right? Maybe it could be a current problem. It could be a past problem, right? Like think of a time in your life when you noticed that you quit. What was the reason for your quit? Okay. And I'd love for you to put it in the comments and I'll read it afterwards and I'll comment back on it. But what was the reason, right? There's no wrong answer. So put whatever, right? Or something, maybe you could see that something that your clients are doing that's quitting, right? I'm just curious to hear what your experience has been around this, right? Maybe it's fear of failure, right? Doesn't feel right for me right now, right? Was that the reason that you quit? Did things get too hard? Okay. Do you make up excuses? Right? Do you get busy with other things, right? More important things? Okay. What about something like fear of success? Okay. That was me. I was afraid of success. When I got into this whole online marketing thing, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was also afraid that if I succeeded, I didn't know what that was. It was fear of the unknown, right? Or what about fear of being stuck in front of a computer all day, like 20 hours a day? The thought is if I'm successful, I'm going to be required to sit in front of my computer for 20 hours a day because I'm going to be so successful. I have work to do, right? But what about I quit when I get into my own head and I change my beliefs, my belief system, my beliefs around my business, right? What were you believing when you started and what are you believing now? Okay. I would say to you guys to think about a circumstance where you were noticing or remembering a time when this happened, when you quit. All right. And here's the thing I want you to notice, especially when you quit. And I would venture to say that 97 to 98% of the time, we don't even recognize it as quitting because we don't say the Q word. We don't say quitting. So here are some of the other labels that we use to label some of these behaviors that are playing in our heads, right? The conversations that are happening in our heads, right? And raise your hand in the comments. Let me know if any of this sounds familiar to you, right? If this could be you, right? I'm taking a break, right? I'm just going to stop and I'm going to come back to it later, right? This way of like actually looking at some of the labels that we use on a daily basis for daily quits, right? I really believe as coaches and as entrepreneurs, we fail to get coaching on our quits, on the decision to stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, because it's almost like it's becoming a subconscious pattern that we have in our lives now. Okay. And we have to question this. And we have to question like what we are really doing to ourselves and the consequences that it has in our lives and in our businesses. This conversation around quitting, like I'm not saying this because like I don't want this to be an excuse for you to beat yourself up, right? For all the times that you've quit, to like judge yourself, to be mean to yourself, right? That's not the point of this. This is to create awareness around patterns, right? But then you can celebrate this new area of your life that now that you're more conscious of the patterns, right? It's going to be a celebration. You're becoming aware of it. And so often I hear business owners say that they're overwhelmed and that they're getting burnt out. And now I have to go on a break, right? But they don't ever say the word quit. Okay. So the key word is always break, you know? So I think it's really important to have this conversation around this overwhelm and this burnout and this stress and like where are all of these emotions coming from, right? Is it from failure? Did something not work out, right? Failure doesn't feel right. It's getting too hard. Things are getting too hard, right? What are these feelings that we have when it feels like it's getting too hard? Like, what is the feeling, right? What are we feeling like, right? We're feeling like we're not good enough, and then we get busy. Like, oh, now I'm too busy, you know. So, what are the emotions that are fueling our decision to quit? Okay, and I just want to offer to you that your business, your goal to grow this business, for you to follow this calling that you have as this business owner, coach or, salesperson of health products or whatever it is, right? That's not what's creating the burnout. Okay. The overwhelm, the confusion, the stress, we all think that's coming from like everything that's around us, right? I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm so busy. I just can't do it. There's just too much going on in my life. And so now I'm all burnt out, right? Almost to the point where I almost think that the burnout and the overwhelm are like buzzwords in society, right? We hear that a lot. We hear it a lot. I just can't handle this. It's just too much. Okay. What if I said to you that burnout, exhaustion, overwhelm isn't caused by working too much? It's not caused by having a business, by being the busy parents, right? By having a job, by having a lot going on. It's not even from not having balance in your life. It has nothing to do with that. Okay. All burnout, all overwhelm, all exhaustion is coming from what you're using to fuel your actions. All day long, it's coming from what's happening in your mind. And how do we know this true? Well, have you ever seen a workaholic, right? Where they're just like, go, 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 go. Me. And people are like, how are you still doing this? Like, take a break. Like, I hear this all the time. I'm admittingly, I'm a workaholic. You have no balance in your life. All you do is work. Aren't you exhausted? Well, no. I love what I do. I love everything that I'm doing, right? I'm just using a different fuel to drive my actions. Some of them are positive and some of them are negative, and we could have a whole other conversation about that, right? But what causes the feeling of the burnout that people feel to the point where they feel like they need to quit, it's always a result of what's happening in your mind. It's never something that's happening in your life. Okay? Like your boss is putting too much on your plate right now. Your life has just too much crazy stuff going on, right? Your kids and and getting back into school, and even if you have a lot going on, and it hasn't got anything to do with what's going on in your life, it always has something to do with what's going on in your head. Okay. Sorry, my notes are getting messed up now. So many tech issues today. Okay. And so when we start believing that it's something happening in our life, like a circumstance, all of a sudden it becomes so easy to just start piling on the circumstances, right? Until we have this amazingly beautiful written story about why there's so much going on in our life, right? There's too much going on to focus on your business right now. Just too much to focus on being a coach right now, right? Like I can't focus on myself. How can I focus on someone else? Like I can't deal with this. I need to come back to this later. Has anybody ever felt this way? Put in the comments. Let me know. Maybe it's your coach. Maybe your coach is like, okay, that you're in a coaching program and they're like, all right, let's step it up. Let's 10x our actions that you've been taking, right? We haven't seen much action in the past few weeks, so it's time to step it up, right? Comment right now if this has happened to you, right? Has it happened yet? Because it's going to happen to you at some point in your journey and in your business. Maybe it's not now. Maybe it's like going down the road, maybe in the future, right? Or maybe you're just not noticing it. Okay. But it's going to happen. So, what are we using to fuel all the action that we take every day? What emotions are we using to fuel what's driving us when we start having those fear-based thoughts? What fuel are we using to be able to get over the fear of losing our time freedom, feeling inadequate, feeling not good enough? Like whatever emotion is coming, any of these emotions, scarcity, frustration, if you're carrying them around with you all day long and you're trying to go about your business, you're fueling your business with something that is going to burn you out. It's not going to propel you forward. I never talked to a business owner who start stops on a daily or a weekly or even a monthly basis who does not also carry around with them those same emotions: fear, low failure tolerance, okay? Perfectionism. Perfectionism is low failure tolerance, isn't it? I can't afford to not be okay. I can't afford mistakes. I don't want people to see me mess up, right? I already know what I do to myself when I mess up. I know the tongue lashing I'm going to give myself. So I need to know I'm going to win so that now I haven't done anything yet, because I don't yet know if everything's going to be all right, right? I don't know I'm going to win the game. So therefore I can't play. They're easily frustrated with themselves. How many of you guys have ever done that, right? How many of you guys have ever done this as a kid, where the second that you notice you're about to lose a game, like say like you're playing video games with your siblings, right? Like I grew up in the first Nintendo era, right? But I know I've done this, right? You're playing a game with your siblings, and in whatever round you're in, you know that you're about to lose. So you go over and you unplug the video game. Whoops, got to start over. Right? Now you didn't win, but I didn't lose. And we do the same thing in our life, in our business. The second we believe we're losing and we can see that failure, like our brains are going to make it mean something if we lose, right? You start taking action, something is off. So, oh, I just took a break from that. I'll come back to that later. Like you sabotage and you unplug it because I don't want to see the result. And what happens is it creates a life where we don't set goals and we don't evaluate our results. Right? So you can see how this can all tie together with your goals in your business. Evaluating goals has to be measurable. You have to start and you have to end. Right? Am I setting specific goals every week? Am I getting clear in the actions that I'm supposed to take every day to create that goal? And at the end of the week, if I didn't create the goal, did I look at it or was I avoiding it? And if you're not doing these things, I want to offer to you that there could be something going on around giving up and around quitting, even if you didn't know that you quit. Little quits like these, little quits add up. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the little quits, talking about the moments where you're like, I quit, right? And sometimes you walk away for a year or 2 years or 5 years, right? But I'm talking about the little quits that happen on a weekly and on a daily basis, right? Are you willing to not be good at something and to get a lot of failure under your belt before you create a result? What's fueling your actions? Is it coming from this very urgent place? Like, I got to get a client, right? Like, I got to make this money right now, you know? I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to make my money back, especially if you made a big investment, right? I'm never going to get this to work. It's not working for me. Whatever place that's coming from, I'm suggesting to you that if the place that you're coming from, if this is the place that you're coming from, you're probably going to quit soon, right? Or you're probably quitting on a daily basis, like the second you feel frustrated, like you're not getting it right. So, what is fueling your actions? Is it coming from this place of emergency that feels very urgent? From the place where your emotions are just bubbling over so much that you have to take a break? You have to quit for the day. And so just notice it from like an emotional standpoint. If you start recognizing this, like if you start recognizing this, you look at this way, it makes total sense. It makes perfect sense why we quit, why we give up. It comes from a very self-preserving mechanism that's deep inside us. It's like, listen, I can't handle much more failure, because of the way I'm fueling my actions right now. So I'll quit on the day or I'll quit on the week. Maybe you're halfway through your week. It's Wednesday. Did you already quit? Or are you still doing your daily actions every day? If we feel like we're not doing well that week, we'll come back to it later. I'll come back to this later, right? I'll just pause on this for 6 months, a year. It could be anything, right? Then I'll come back to it once I get that calling to be a coach again or to be a salesperson again, right? I think if we don't learn to address the pattern, it just keeps perpetuating year after year, program after program, course after course, goal after goal. And thinking about quitting or giving up in that little moment, like when you do like a little quit, when you do decide to do a little quit, when you decide not to make offers today, or when you decide to reschedule all your consultations, right? When you're taking a break, you just decide to just stop taking action. Feels like a relief, right? Feels good. Can we just agree that it feels good not to do that thing that we don't want to do, right? That's why our clients do it, or our customers do it. It feels good. That's why people quit on their goals. It actually feels good to quit. It's a temporary, momentary relief from negative emotion. And I've seen this with business owners. Have you seen this with your clients? I bet you have, especially if you're a coach, right? It feels like a dopamine hit. You're just being very like, oh, I'm just taking care of myself right now. I'm just going to take a day to take care of myself. Now, I think it's important to take care of ourselves, right? We have to have time for rest, and we have to have time to recharge our batteries. We have to have play time, right? We got to goof off. We got to have time for connections, right? But we never create all of this rest and recharge and relaxation and connections. Where did that come from? We never create all of this because we're running away from negative emotion. It never happens. We never get that effect we're looking for. We plan for it ahead. So hopefully on Sundays or Mondays, you're taking the time to plan out your week, right? And the first thing you plan is that time for rest and relaxation. So in these moments, when your brain wants to offer up that sweet nothing in your ear, right? It wants you to quit, right? It's really busy in your life, right? You can remind your brain, like, you know what, brain? I know that sounds better than doing this thing right now. Like, I'm nervous about this, or I'm not comfortable with this, I'm a little insecure, or whatever the negative emotion is. But I've already planned my rest and relaxation, and it's not right now. The rejection-free sales system that I teach, right? I give you the GPS directions to grow and automate your biz, right? And the ones that I see who have the most success, right? And this is true, I'm sure, for every course, are the ones who just say, great, let's go. And they just start taking action, and they just start doing the work, and they don't question, like, they don't ever like indulge in confusion around every step. They just get it done. Versus the ones that come in and start taking action, and then they second guess each step. They second guess their ideal audience. They second guess their qualifications as a business owner. They second guess that they're talking to the right people. They second guess all of this, and all of those second guesses results in little quits. Literally, it's literally little quits. And I want everyone to hear me on this. It is literally the difference between an owner who creates $100,000 business in their first year and the ones who create 1,000 to maybe 10,000. It's not the person who got there faster. They're not more talented. They're not smarter. They don't have a better niche. They don't look a certain way. They got lucky, right? I love the little quits that we indulge in. They're literally robbing us of our power and all of the potential that we have inside ourselves, right? And that potential that we have could literally blow our minds if we just didn't quit, right? If we just went along with it. So when you ask me what's the difference between a business owner that creates results and a business owner that struggles, it's their beliefs. Do you actually believe it's possible to make $10,000 this month? Do you think it's possible? And if you really truly believe it's possible, what's the next level of belief from there? Okay, so I could create $10,000 this month. What's the next level belief? Is the next level 20K? Right? Like the possibility is the first level, right? The next level would be it's done. I'm going to do this. This is happening. Some of you will actually sit with this thought and you're like, okay, you know what? I don't believe in this right now. You don't believe that thing that you just said to yourself, whatever your goal was, 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 40,000 a month, whatever your next goal is, right? I just don't believe it's going to happen. And you don't take action because you don't believe it's working. You don't believe the process that you're using is working, whether that process was taught by somebody who it's working for or not. You don't believe it. You don't believe it should be working. You don't believe you should be having success right now. I mean, at the end of the day, when you don't take action and you decide to quit, which my definition of quitting is any form of action, any form of not taking action towards your goal that you had planned is considered, to me, it's considered a small quit, right? But it stems from I'm not believing in what's happening. So maybe for you, it's starting with the possibility for me to create this, right? It's possible, right? It's possibility. Maybe for you, the next level belief is working in the belief that it's actually happening. The possibility that, and then it's actually happening. This is happening right now. But once that's done, once you have that belief, what is fueling your actions? The reason why I want you guys to sit in this, because it's a challenge. This is a challenge. Whatever your belief level is at, some of you are at a very low belief level, some of you kind of mid-range, some are probably still pretty high, but you can go higher. Because it's what fuels our actions, and it's either going to come from belief or disbelief, right? And disbelief creates emotions like fear, anxiety, overwhelm, victimhood. You're in disbelief, right? I'm here and this is terrible, and I'm in this place where nothing is working for me and it shouldn't be happening to me. And if it's possible to create this $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, whatever it is, right? What is that emotion that is fueling your actions every day? How would you feel if you truly woke up every day and thought, I could literally make $10,000 this month, if that's your goal? Or it could be 20,000 or whatever your goal is, right? What if you could feel like that? What would it do to your emotions if you were to say, I could actually have that this month, right? And after you believe this is possible, your next level of belief would be it's done. Wow. I just made $20,000 a month. Or I just made $20,000 this past month. How cool is that? How cool is my business? Like, how cool is it that I get to work with these clients? It's just awesome. Like, if you truly sat in those emotions every day, if that was what you believed, what would that do? What would that do when your brain says, I'm too busy? Or I don't want to be in front of a computer for 20 hours a day? Or it's just too hard? Or what if I fail? Or it doesn't feel right? I want you guys to actually consider what your brain would be creating space for. What would the thoughts your brain, what thoughts would your brain actually create all day long if the belief that $20,000 is a reality? Maybe if you're a coach with a one-to-one program, that's like $5,000, pretty standard price for a one-to-one program. You only need 4 clients to get $20,000. 4 amazing clients. How awesome is that? That I get to create space for them while also having the space to take care of myself. 4 clients. Awesome. What would you do in your business all day long if you were the $20,000 coach? 4 clients paid you to coach them. You'd do awesome work, right? How would you treat your business? How would you show up for your business every day if you were feeling that and believing that, right? Like, wow. So I think the most important thing to know about giving up and quitting is that, number one, we don't call it that. We don't call it that. We don't know that's what we're doing, right? So just recognize, okay, where are the small quits that that where am I giving up? Where did I quit on my goals for the day, my goals for the week? Or maybe I never even set goals because I didn't think I could accomplish them, right? Where did I like fail on myself this week setting a goal, setting specific goals for myself, right? Getting awareness around for you where it may be happening. It's going to look different for everyone, right? It may be happening a lot in really obvious places, or like maybe it seems like it's not happening that much, but you have to start looking and start thinking about it as your day and as your week goes on, right? Maybe for you it's more kind of an unconscious, right? It's like I it's just like thoughts in your head, but maybe you're still doing the work, but you're still having these thoughts in your head. So I think creating awareness to like I said, be able to celebrate how much more intimately we're becoming aware of our patterns and how they show up in our life. And then recognizing what was driving the quit. What drove me to have this, to give up on today's goals, wherever it happened? What was fueling that? And what was I forgetting to believe? Was I believing into that moment? Or was I forgetting to believe what I know is possible? Like, okay, I believe it's possible. What if it was just happening? Right? This is happening now. But if for sure it was happening, like what would you do today if it was for sure happening? What would you do in your business? Would you still feel too busy for this? Would you still feel burnt out if it was happening right now? Would you still feel that way? Okay. So I want to challenge you to do this week, right? And like I said, some of you may have to really pay attention to this, because when I started paying attention to this, I started noticing all the little quits that I was making every day, because they're subtle. We give up. We have small quits. And some of you may already know because they're like painfully obvious, right? Painfully obvious, the areas where you're going to have to work on this, right? The steps. Ask yourself the question, right? Let me ask you, do you need coaching? Do you need to do some self-coaching? Self-coaching on this week. Do some self-coaching, awareness and self-coaching, and notice if it creates any different results for you this week when you show up into your business that way, with that belief system, better belief system, right? You guys, this is why we create, when we create a business, why we have that why, the why statement that what is your why for starting your business? That's big in network marketing, but I'm sure it's big for other companies as well. But why, what was your why? Write it down, like post-it note it all over the place, bathroom mirror, refrigerator, like inside your car, so that you will be reminded of it, because we know your brain is going to do this. So don't beat yourself up and don't think that there is something wrong with you. Everybody does this, right? Lean into that why. Okay, use your why. That is why you have it. Okay, so that was all I had for today. I'm so sorry about how the live got cut off, but I hope that you take this. Make sure you leave me some comments. Let me know what your why is. Love to know what your why is. Write it down, set it in stone. Let it come into a solid state, not just a thought in your head. Put it down, put it in the chat, write it on paper, and let us know. Okay? Have a great day, guys.